Hi everyone, my name is Malinda Sloan. My pronouns are she, her, hers. As we celebrate and honor APIDA Heritage Month, I am proud to add my voice and share my story. And, heritage is a huge thing in word and culture that's tied to heritage. But this is my voice and my story. So I am Korean. That's my heritage. I have no history about my biological parents. So even though I have heritage and tied to my Asian roots, the culture part of connecting to my heritage happened way, way later. So, as I said, I'm Korean. I was adopted by a Caucasian family, and they were very good people, and I'm very thankful that they were wonderful people. At the age of 5, I had no idea what heritage or culture meant. And if I were to say something to that little girl as I am now, I would say to her that it was a scary time then, and it's a scary time now for different reasons. And obviously because we're in this pandemic now. Back then, 5-year-old me wasn't in a pandemic, but I was being uprooted from the only home that I had known to travel to a huge, far country called the United States. And what I do remember from that time is I didn't know what to think. I boarded this huge jet plane. I did have a traveler, a companion adult traveler with me, but I didn't know what to expect. And I traveled with this person that I had never known either. She was just acting as my chaperone and ensuring that I got to the United States of America safely. But I recall, and this is a really funny incident that still sticks really indelibly in my mind, and that is they were serving a meal, and it was the Alberta canned peaches, and I had never ever had canned food, so I didn't know what to think of it. Well, I went to eat it and was going to cut the peach, and that little sucker flipped off the tray, and I was so frightened that it had slipped off and that I had done something that was potentially wrong, that I just didn't eat my meal the rest of the travel from Korea to San Francisco, to Seattle, to finally to Colorado. That's a funny little nugget that sticks in my mind even to this day. And by the way, I still love peaches. Not the canned peaches necessarily, but I do love love peaches. Anyway, so the comparison between then and now is this fear of the unknown that permeated what I was thinking as a young child. So I met my family, and it all, was good. I, tried to adjust to the family, and I was happy, but sad at the same time because I was leaving my motherland. And it was fun, but then I grew out of it. I became more comfortable as I acclimated into the family. And trying to figure out my place in the family. And it worked out nicely, and I became very adapted into the family and the culture. What I didn't realize is that I wasn't really engaged in my culture. But again, I didn't know what culture was at that time or heritage. So then I will fast forward to applying to come to college, and I had been accepted to several universities, and one of them was Colorado State University, and thinking, wow, this is exciting, and it's a whole new adventure, and I was ready for the adventure. And that's as I became a college student and maturing into adulthood, taking courses and seeing a few other Asians on campus, something clicked in my brain, and I realized that, oh wow, here are some other Asians, and I don't know if they were Korean at the time, thinking, this is very interesting. On the exterior, I am Asian and I look Asian, but on the interior, because I was raised with a Caucasian family, I was basically Caucasian. And it was a really interesting acknowledgement and recognition of this disconnect about how I looked on the outside, but how I was acculturated on the inside. And it took me a year to sort of wrap my head around that concept. And I didn't reach out to the Asian, I don't believe we had what we now have as APACC, but I don't believe there was an advocacy office that served the Asian population. So there really wasn't any student organization or advocacy office for me to explore. We did, so a few other students and I started interacting and connecting, and realized that the university was working on an initiative to attract more students of color, and particularly, I think, because there wasn't very much representation for Asians, that there was a university-wide initiative to expand and include more diverse student recruitment. So, and coincidentally, I was engaged in a course through the social work program. And one of my advisors was a professor by the name of Dr. Grace Kushihashi. And she was so good, and I admired her so much that it made me more interested in diving into the Asian culture. Now, she was Japanese, but that didn't matter. It was a jumping off point for me, or jumping in point for me, to explore Asian identity, what that meant, Asian identity, because it was so broad then. And at that time, I believe there was like the Chinese Student Association, I believe the Japanese Student Association, and maybe other smaller clusters of other Asian population student orgs. But there, again, like I said, there was no advocacy office. El Centro existed, BAC existed, NAC, and they were all under different names, and they've all morphed into these, student diversity clusters in advocacy offices, which is great. But so it was not until I came to college and that I started delving into the Japanese Student Association, the Chinese Student Association, that really lit that fire in me to explore and become connected to my identity and my roots. And Dr. Kushihashi had a big part in that. Also, Dr. Kaiho Ma, who was part of the philosophy department, was very influential in my growth into and becoming connected to the Asian heritage and beginning to develop this thirst and this pride that I had never known before. So, and then in 83, we, ASCSU granted us, I believe, some money to start the advocacy office for services for Asian American students. So that was SAAS. And that's when we hired Linda Ahuna from, I believe, UC Irvine, and became a part-time advisor and director for the then APACC office. And so with I don't believe she was doctor at the time, and she evolved and got her PhD and moved up in the CSU ranks, and she mentored many, many, many hundreds of students during her tenure. And we stand on her shoulders to carry on the torch that she has upheld for us. And so because of her and her leadership, it has evolved into, and it's gone through changes to what it is now. And now we have Joanne Cornell, and she has just taken the office and the services and the programs to a different level. And so these are the giants that we honor, respect, thank for bringing us to this juncture in history. Anyway, so I didn't become who I am, and I have to admit, much, much later. I would say I was engaged and learned from Dr. Huna, but then I totally disconnected, and then got re-engaged and reconnected to APIDA, APACC, and the community. And so I guess for an acknowledgement of APIDA Heritage Month and what heritage and culture means, then to the young me and to me now, is that the Asian culture is so vast, is complex in many ways. There are as many stories as there are Asian communities and cultures and geographic regions. So it's just vast and huge. But what is, I think, a really common thread among and within all of us is that we are resilient. Doesn't matter, again, what geographic region, how we identify, who we love, that a common theme that I see in all of us as a community is we are resilient. We have this unshakable spirit that, and I don't know where that comes from, but that we do have that unshakable spirit that carries us through. And maybe because we have all experienced struggle, highs and lows, and that we are resilient because of the fact that we have had to come through so much, walk through so many things to get to, where we are. And this is something that just keeps ringing true during this time where we are separated from our physical community and from folks that we normally would engage in, just hang out and chat, get validation and affirmations, that we can't do that now in person, but we can stay connected through, through Zoom, through Teams, through learning opportunities that we've been doing. The CHI sessions that the APACC students have put together, the story circle that's being facilitated by Atlas and Carl, and with Joanne's support, has been the lifeline, I think, that keeps us engaged and know that we are a strong community, and I so appreciate that. And again, that we are resilient, we're strong, we're unified in what we need to do, that we won't be defined by any kind of constructs that have been put on us or placed upon us. That we won't have these oppressive, suppressive constructs that have been placed on us, and that we will move forward, continue to share our stories, and stay strong as a community and support one another.